So it is Saturday night and it is speaker night, and I am over the moon excited uh, for our speaker this evening. Jim is such a pillar in the recovery community on Instagram, and I'm sure everywhere else that he goes. And we all have had the honor and privilege of meeting him through, well, for myself, Instagram, and I think for most of us through Instagram. And he's such an inspiration, and I am so grateful that he is part of our sober tribe, our sober family, and that I can call him friend. So I am not going to waste another second of time. I'm going to throw it over to you, Jim, the man of the hour.
Hello, Jim Alcoholic. Man, I don't think I've ever been called a pillar of a fucking community. F-bomb right after that. Dang it. I'm going to work on that. I promise. I'm going to try not to do that. I know, Tom, if you're here, I apologize, from Canada. I'll try to say A every time we're going to cuss. But seriously, like I think a lot of us, we're in recovery. We're referred to in ways that we never thought we'd be referred to in our active addiction. And Brad, when you put that on the post earlier today, pillar of my community, I was just like, I need to screenshot this and send it to a lot of people in my past. But grateful recovering alcoholic, man. And alcohol is definitely my thing, definitely like 99%. I know most of us probably suffer from multiple addictions. I think I did. I think many of us, and if we're honest with ourselves, our second addiction, a lot of us, were sex. And I think sex was definitely a second addiction of mine, but fueled from insecurities and alcoholism. But 99% alcohol. So yeah, I'm honored to be here. This the Sober Tribe Zoom meeting has been amazing. I'm so glad I found it, and thank you guys so much for being of service and having this. But what I've probably not much of what I'm going to say is going to shock most of you guys. We're so similar in so many aspects. Maybe we are different genders, different ages. Maybe you grew up with in a different country or something like that. But our stories are so similar, and what happened to us is just so similar. So that's what makes me so comfortable in these rooms. And that's just what's when I found the rooms of AA, it was the first time when I heard a couple people talk. It was the first time I'm like, man, it took me a while to realize, first of all, they weren't full of bullshit and to trust them, because, as addicts in recovery, you have to earn our trust. It's not easy. So, we bullshitted our ways through everything in our active addiction. So once I realized that these people were being legit and like, fuck, man, they really went through the same shit I did. Like, that was real. I think I mentioned the first time I ever really realized that other people out there experienced what I did. And no bullshit, I was reading the big book, the first 164. Those things, when I first read the first 164 and the program I was in, when I was like, shit, this is like written in the 20s and 30s, and these people, what? And I was just like baffled. But then in these rooms is where I actually heard people say it for the first time and talk about it. And I realized, like, man, you guys are all fucked up, but you're my kind of fucked up. So you're stuck with me now. You're stuck with me. But so how it was, what happened, and how it is now, right? Is that how we do this? But I don't think there's a definition for the word normal. I think if anybody tried to define it, and if it's defined anywhere, they're fucking idiots. Like, stop kidding yourself. There's no definition for normal. When I say my normal childhood, that's mine, and your normal childhood is much, much different than what mine is. So I was raised by a single mom. She was 15 when she had me. Saint, angel, worked her ass off to raise me. My dad was never really around. I was one of those kids that they both had me. Obviously, my mom had me when she was very young. I think my dad was like a year older. And he was just never around in my childhood. And I'm actually going to get, before when I speak, I usually speak about my mom and talk more about that. But I think I'm going to dabble on my dad this time. Because obviously there's a lot of that stuck with me and has a lot of power with me. I've never really spoken about my dad. And it's still kind of hard for me to do. The men's, when you have to forgive people, I forgive him, but in recovery, he's done more and more things that have, affected me. And it's a process, but it's a process that I think I'm ready for. So, but as a child, I was growing up I grew up in Ventura, California. I was the only child on my mom's side. My dad remarried and had two more kids. So I have a little brother and a little sister I think my little brother is 5 years younger than me. My little sister is 7 years younger than me. But with my mom, I was an only child. My mom worked 3 jobs raising me. She was often working 3 jobs. So I'd wake up in the morning and get ready for school. My mom wasn't there. I had a paper out if I wanted anything. My mom didn't have money. So if I wanted anything, in my younger years, if I wanted to play youth basketball, if I wanted to be in a bowling league, I bowled as a kid. I love bowling. I'm a dork like that. If I wanted to go to the theaters or anything like that, I had to pay for it on my own. So, in 3rd grade, which is I think 8 years old, I got my first paper outs. So I had 3 paper outs as an 8-year-old kid. And back then, I grew up in the early 80s. So, when you deliver the papers, it was 7 days a week. There was no days off, and it had to be at 6 o'clock in the morning. So I'd wake up at 6 o'clock in the morning and I would do my paper outs. My mom was gone on her first job. She would come back when I was at school and go to her second job. I'd come back from school, do my homework and stuff like that alone. So my early childhood was a lot of isolation, a lot of being by myself. Because I didn't have siblings, and so it is what it is. And for me, that was normal. And my dad was never around. My dad lived like 20 miles away, but he just never really wanted anything to do with me. He was a raging alcoholic. For me, he was a thing that we all, many of us see something, in one of our parents, and we say we never want to be like that. As we're growing up, like, I never want to be like that. I never want to be like that. And then we end up being exactly fucking like that. Man, I turned out to be just like that guy, and in many ways. But me growing up, I was always outgoing. I was outside. I only came in when the streets went off, and not when the street lights went off, because that's when when my friends' parents made them go inside, is when I would come inside, and I'd always be home by myself, and it was terrifying for me. I grew up in not such a nice neighborhood. We had all the houses and apartments. You had the steel screen door. You didn't have the little flimsy steel door. You had a steel motherfucker that bolted and you couldn't get in. And at nighttime, man, I was terrified because I was in that house, that apartment by myself, and because my mom was at work, and I would leave the door open. The front door would be open, but the screen door would be shut. But I was like, every noise would scare the shit out of me. I would have to be able to see what was out there. So I would have the door open with the screen door there, and I had to be able to see all the fucking madness going on, but I was tucked away in the back corner sitting somewhere, so nobody could actually see me. But, there was a lot of isolation and being alone in my childhood, and, that's just how it was. But for me, that was normal, The one thing, I'm going to dabble with my mom a little bit. My mom, she was young. And she wanted to, I think 99.95% of us, 99% of us as children, us addicts in this room right now, something happened to us in our childhood. Multiple forms of abuse, whether it's mental abuse, physical abuse, verbal abuse, sexual abuse, all the above. I'm in all the above, as many of you are. So I'm definitely not alone in that situation. Lots of us have suffered from lots of different kinds of abuse as a child. And, those are things that, to me, it was normal when I was a kid. That's all I knew. I didn't know any different. So my mom had me when she was young, and she wanted that, was normal for her and people her age. Was just go out and party once in a while. She wanted love and affection from a guy. She wanted this and that, and I don't blame her for that whatsoever. She, when she's 19, 20, early 20s, that's what she wants. And she went out of her way to bring men around, and I know she did it as much for me as she did it for herself. I know she wanted a father figure around for me, somebody around for me to be able to be there. I can see that, and then looking back, I can see that, and I can know that was half the reason why my mom had so many guys coming in and out. But as I saw, and as we know, our subconscious mind is so powerful, and it's so powerful, way more powerful than our conscious mind. So, my mom would bring guys around, and they would live with us and this and that. And, things would happen to me, unfortunately, when my mom wasn't around. So that was part of my childhood. And when I was that age, when I was 8, 9, 10, and I'm getting touched by these men, I think it's normal, because what does a child do? A child trusts. You trust adults. And you just, okay, this is what happens. Boom, 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 yeah, let's go ahead and do this. Like, I didn't question shit, But when you get into junior high or high school, you realize that shit wasn't fucking normal. And I laugh at it because I can laugh at it now, because I put in the work in the rooms and with therapy to get to the point where I can't laugh at it now. So, but no, that's not normal. All my friends grew up in multiple parent households. They had their mom and dads and siblings and stuff like that. So Much different from me. But when I got to the point where I realized, like, you know, whatever, 13, 14, fuck, man, the shit that happened to me as a kid, that was fucked up. You know, obviously I'm too embarrassed about it now. And I don't want to talk about it. I don't want to admit it. I think about it daily and I don't want to admit it, but I just bottle it up and just, you know, a lot of you right now, as I'm telling this, you're thinking about that thing that happened to you. Because I'm not alone. I'm not special. This didn't just happen to me. This happened to, I don't know how many people were in this meeting, but probably 95% of you, and you're feeling it right now also. And when you can get yourself to the point now that you can talk about it and you can deal with it, that's fucking growth. And it took me a long time. It took me 21 years of being an addict, a raging fucking lunatic, the opposite of a pillar in the community, to be able to get to a point where I can talk about it now. But so that stuff happened to me. You know, there's nothing I can do about it. Don't feel sorry for me. I don't feel sorry for myself. I've gotten myself to a point that, you know, I'm at terms with it. But my dad, so my dad was an alcoholic, raging alcoholic. We grew up in the 80s. He would always drive around with his 8-tracks, you know, popping. He had always had a Budweiser in his hand. My dad was born in Mexico City, so he moved over here when he was young. And, you know, he had the lowriders and Impalas, all my uncles and aunts, all, you know, cholas. A lot of them don't speak English. They live in a really Hispanic town. And my dad was just a raging party animal, and he was just a raging lunatic. And he remarried right after him and my mom split, and they had kids. And he was the kind of dad that, you know, he would say he was going to come by and pick me up on the weekends, and I'd be super excited because I wanted that father figure in my life. So I'd be super excited. I'd have my bags packed. I'd be waiting on the outside on the curb waiting for him. And my mom would always tell me, Mijo, Jim, just let's wait inside. Like, let's wait inside. Like, come inside. And I'm like, no, I'm going with my dad. And my mom told me that because she knew he wasn't going to show up. And so, you know, more often than not, he didn't show up. And so, you know, made plans. Jim, we're going to go to a Dodger game. We're going to Magic Mountain. We're going to Disneyland. We're doing this and doing that. As a little kid, you know, I just constantly got so excited to just utter disappointment. So, you know, I think a lot of that had to do with abandonment. And then when he did come and pick me up, and I did go visit my dad, it was never a good thing. My dad remarried a very, very traditional Hispanic woman. So she hated me because I was a product of my dad and another woman. So, you know, very, very rooted Hispanic women are very jealous. Not all, but a lot. And so I was a product of my dad with another woman. So, you know, I always, you know, when my dad did leave me at the house, or when my dad did pick me up and I went over there, you know, first of all, my dad had a landscaping business. So when he would come pick me up, all we would do was work the whole time. Like, just work. He picked me up Saturday morning at 9 o'clock. We're out doing yards, landscaping until 6 o'clock at night. And we go back to the house, and then stepmom hates me. So it's just like, it was never a good experience for me. My dad would just drop me off, and then he'd go party his brains out all night long. And, you know, ironically, her and I had a conversation after I got sober. And she told me that she didn't hate me and resent me as much because of my mom and I was a product, but more so because, you know, she was young and trying to raise her 2 kids. And then my dad would just ditch me with her, which, you know, when I got sober, that made sense to me. I understood it. So I looked at it from a different perspective. But, you know, as a childhood, all I knew was I was resented, you know, so I'd go visit my dad and I was resented. And so that was just a very miserable place. And my aunts and uncles were awesome, but, you know, it was just a really bad thing. My dad was an alcoholic. My dad had shotguns. My dad would get drunk and he'd pull his shotguns out. And my little brother and sister, who were 5 years younger than me when I was really young, you know, they would cry like little kids do. And my dad would be so blacked out, wasted. He'd pull shotguns out and, you know, point them at him. And I would have to stand in front of him because I was like 10, 11. So I was the strong one. And it's like, what? My stepmom would be going nuts. So that was my childhood. It was chaos. And that's all I ever knew, was just chaos growing up. So my mom did the best to keep me away from that stuff, but my mom struggled. She worked a lot. We moved a lot as a kid. So as a kid, I went to 3 different schools in 3rd grade, different junior high than the kids that I went to elementary school with. I went to elementary school, I think like 200 of us went to junior high, but I was one of 7 that went to 1 junior high because I lived on the other side of 1 street, and that street was the barrier of the break-off and where shit got split. So it was like, I never had constant friends, and so I was really insecure with who I was, and these insecurities just kept growing and growing and growing. And then we moved after my freshman year in high school, and I moved from Ventura up to San Luis Obispo. And, you know, as a kid, it's a teenager after your freshman year, you know, you're really thinking you're, getting in, and then all of a sudden just upward and change. So a lot of change, but change and chaos all of a sudden was just like normal to me. But my first drinking, I think like lots of us, I think many of you can, first time I got drunk, it was just fucking, are you kidding me? I hated alcohol. I didn't like it at all, but I knew I wanted something to make me different, something different than I was. So I think we was at our friend's house. The friend's parents was out of town for the weekend, and I remember the first time I got drunk, it was peppermint schnapps and orange juice. That was my go-to. God, whatever. But when alcohol finally arrived, I couldn't drink it fast enough. I was just like, I hated it. I got so blacked out drunk. I was just puking, projectile vomiting, pizza. My friends didn't know what to do. They were freaking out. I wake up in the morning, and I wake up butt fucking naked in a bathtub full of ice. And I'm like, what the hell am I doing? So I was like, didn't know where I was. And then my friends heard me move around. So they came in, they're like, you okay? Are you okay? I was like, what the fuck? And they're like, we didn't know what to do. You were like, they didn't want to call the cop or 911 because they didn't want me to get in trouble with my mom the next day. So they threw my ass in a fucking bathtub full of ice water because they probably watched it on some TV show or something. And yeah, all the whites of my eyes were just bloodshot. They were all red because I just alcohol poisoning. It popped them all. So, I went home and I told my mom that I had allergies or something. I rubbed them so much it popped them. Like she knew probably, but whatever. That's what it works. But my first time getting drunk, I just hated it, and I never liked alcohol. And it just blows my mind that something that I just didn't even like, just the taste of it. Like I don't think I ever really liked the taste of alcohol. Never really liked the taste of beer until like my late 30s. I never liked the taste of vodka, rum, nothing. I didn't like the taste of it, but I let it control, dominate, and ruin my fucking life. Blows my mind. I definitely know I'm not alone there, but yeah, so I didn't drink that much in high school. I didn't drink that much in early college. I played sports, and I played football and baseball. And in college, it was me getting to new situations, surroundings, playing sports, trying to do the right thing. But my alcoholism really started when college sports stopped. And then it was just like, from 13 or 14, when I realized that these things happened to me as a kid, and I was just pushing them down because I didn't want to talk about them, those things never stopped. And all of a sudden I'm 21, 22, and all I had done is I had that much more time at 8, 9, 10 years to just keep pushing that shit in. So my insecurities grew more and more. When you're in college, it's all about chasing girls and trying to be cool and popular. And I went to, I lived in a small college town. And, God, I was getting fucking drunk in Publix like you probably went to Taco Bell on the weekends, man. I was just racking up drunk in Publix like nobody's business because I hated who I was. I think I was, I never had a hard time getting friends. I was very outgoing, but I was very outgoing. I always made sure I looked nice. I always worked out. I was always in good shape. I never had a problem getting friends, but I had a problem keeping friends. I had a problem like having them stick around for more than a month or so because I was the cool, fun guy for the first couple of nights. And then when they realized like, fuck, this guy's blacked out every night. Like, is this what he does? Like just blacked out and then he's an asshole? Like, so I always had a problem keeping friends. So my college years were just about drinking because I just hated who I was. And I made decent money. I had good jobs after college, and I was just burying that thing that was inside of me. And the real root of everything, I was just avoiding it. I was just numbing it. I had really bad, I couldn't sleep. I could never sleep. So half the reason I would drink every night was so I can get blacked out drunk to pass out so I could get some sleep. And that made sense to me. So, my first relationship was a 5-year relationship. I've had 3 5-year relationships, all codependent. Alcohol had a lot to do with all of them. Alcohol is probably where we met. Alcohol is where we spent most of our time. Alcohol was all of our fights. Alcohol was all of our fucking everything. And it was really codependent. And alcohol was just the root of my whole life. And I still didn't even like it, but it destroyed my life because I have this disease that we have. It's fucking insane. And my 30s come, and I moved to San Diego. Man, just fucking alcohol's everywhere. It doesn't matter where you're living. If you're an alcoholic, you're a fucking alcoholic. You're gonna find it in your drink. So, moved to San Diego was nuts. I moved to a little town called Temecula, and I was just getting arrested, and I was just doing stupid shit, just drinking out of control, bought a house, bought a car, lost it all within no time at all, like boom, you know. And this is probably about 2012. That's when my life really started, when alcohol really started destroying what I had. You know, I was a 24-hour drinker for at least 12 years, like not 24-hour, but like every day. And I was a 24-hour drinker for probably at least a decade. I was an everyday drinker for probably 15 years. And I mean like every day. I think one time me and one of my girlfriends, we were like, hey, let's see if we can not drink for like, see who doesn't drink. Just go not drinking. And after 5 days, I was like, I can't do this anymore, but I don't want to lose the bet. And so I was like, hey, let's have some virgin margaritas. And I tricked her and I poured vodka or tequila in hers. And then when she drank it, I was like, you lose. You know, but I only did that because I really wanted to fucking drink it. I couldn't do it anymore. So it was like, that's why I did it. Day 2, day 3, I just couldn't do it anymore. The longest I've ever gone without drinking is 2 weeks, and that was because I was in jail. Not that I couldn't get it in jail, but I didn't. But from 21, 22 to 40, I think, honest to God, the farthest I ever went drinking was 5 days. And that was just because it was a bet, see if we could do it. And the most, really, it was probably like 2 or 3 days. And it was just the thing. And then it got to the point where in my mid-30s, where early 30s, to be honest, where when I woke up, I had to grab that fucking cup. I had to grab that cup that was next to my nightstand. And I had to take a huge chug because my delirium tremens were kicking. You know, I had to throw up. A lot of times I would throw up and drink water. I'd throw up water. But guess what? Guess what I wouldn't throw up? Vodka orange juice. I wouldn't throw that up in the morning. So that was my go-to. If I wanted to get out of bed and do anything functioning, like, you know, that's when my anxiety started kicking in. Anxiety for me was a big part of my late addiction. When I was a kid, it was funny. When I was younger, in my early 20s, I heard people talk about anxiety a lot, and I never really knew what it was. I thought being anxious, as a child, as a kid, I thought anxious was like when you're at the fucking fair and you're waiting to get in line, you're waiting to get on that ride. You're like anxious, like hurry up, I want to get on that ride. And I always thought it was a good thing. Like, isn't anxious fun? Like, I really legitimately didn't know anxious and anxiety was a bad thing until like my late 30s. Like, I'm stupid. I had no idea. I never had figured that out. But I never really knew about it until all of a sudden this thing was just smacking me in the fucking head. And I couldn't drive sometimes. I couldn't do this. I couldn't do that. And I'm just like, what is it? And it's like anxiety. And anxiety like just took over my life. And what happened? So started getting 5150 a lot, started getting arrested a lot. Hopefully a lot of you guys don't know what 5150 is. But that means you get thrown in fucking, you're taken for your cuckoo. And you get taken to a place for a 72-hour hold to do therapy because you need to, there's a lot about you that they need to examine. So you get 5150, it's 72-hour hold. You have to go to a place. And man, it happened to me a couple of times. Like, these are the worst places ever. You go there and there's just people all around in this big open room. And the first time, like, my friends came up to me and was like an intervention. And they're like, hey, because I'd been in LA. I lived in Temecula and I'd been in LA and I had just been on a bender, like just nuts. And my anxiety was going so bad. I went to the store and I bought a bunch of bottles of plastic bottles of vodka, and I went and parked. I went and parked in like a Taco Bell or something, parking lot or something like that, with a bunch of bottles of vodka. And I couldn't move. I was just like, I got in my back seat because I needed to sleep. So I just drank until I got fucked up and passed out. And then I just would wake up and I wouldn't be able to even move to the front seat. My anxiety was going bad. I couldn't drive. I couldn't move. I couldn't talk to anybody. I wasn't answering my phone. I was literally in the backseat of my freaking car in a Del Taco parking lot for 5 days. And only time I got out was to go inside the Del Taco to get food or to go pee, and then maybe some mixer for the other bottles of vodka so I could just get fucked up so I could pass out and fall asleep and then not have to worry about or think about this anxiety that was going crazy in me. So I would literally just drink and drink and drink until I got so drunk that I would pass out. And I'm in the backseat of my car, hadn't moved. How I didn't get towed or arrested, I don't know, but whatever. But some friends called me, and I finally answered the phone. They're like, where are you? I was like, I'm in LA. They're like, you get your ass back home. I was like, I can't. So they had to come. 2 friends drove out there, picked me up. One of them drove my car back, and the other one drove their car back. And then when we got home, they're like, all right, you got 2 options here. You know, they both end up with you going to the psych ward. How do you want to get there? You want us to take you, or do you want us to call an ambulance and have you taken that way? And so, man, the psych ward was just fucking insane. And they just, all they wanted to do was medicate you. It was just insane. It was just this fucking big room and 60 people in it just going nuts, puking, just doing whatever. There's no beds, no couches, a couple random chairs that you would sit in, like, you nowhere to sleep. They give you a blanket, but you didn't have a bed. And you're there for fucking 3 days. I was just like, are you kidding me? And all they were trying to do was just pump you full of meds and shit like that. And like, I told myself, and I'm like, I don't want to trade alcohol for that. So I just didn't do anything. So I didn't sleep the whole time. But, oh man, that was the first time I got 5150, and I got back and I got out and straight to the bottle. I was like, fuck this, straight to the bottle, whatever. Anyways, I moved to LA and I started bartending. LA was the first time I did cocaine, just like 2014. Got introduced to the LA lifestyle. Lots of cocaine, lots of great people, but just bad situations for me, you know. I not often say, but I do say alcohol is not a bad thing for everybody. It's a fucking horrible thing for me, but if it's used right, it's not bad. But I definitely can't do that. So LA landed me homeless. And I hid it for a while. Nobody knew I was homeless, but I was working. I was bartending, wasted every fucking day. Manipulating girls to let me stay at their house after we got drunk and partied till 4 a.m., starting to do cocaine. I slept in the back of my SUV, my car. I just couldn't keep any of the money, do anything rational with it. I would make a lot of money. I was making $300-400 a night, but I was fucking spending it. Just boom, gone, just done. Couldn't get a place to live, so I was living out of my car until I got repossessed. And then I was like, fuck, you know, and I still had a little bit of pride left. I don't know how, but I would lie to my friends and tell them, and nobody knew I was homeless. But I had a storage unit that I kept, a little tiny storage unit that I can afford, that I would try to sleep in sometimes, and I would keep my stuff in, and I would shower at Gold's Gym. And, you know, I lived on the beach, so you can shower at the little fucking showers by the shitter on the beach and stuff like that. I slept on the beach a lot, slept in carports. You know, I would go up to patios, people's patios. I'd sneak on their patios, and I would steal their fucking patio furniture, and I would take it, and I would find a little cut somewhere, and I would just like, so I had something soft to sleep on. I'd go sleep in there, and just started losing on my jobs. I'd get a job, I'd lose it. Have friends let me stay with them for a couple weeks on the couch, and then they would kick me the fuck out because I was just like death. I was living skeleton and bones. And yeah, 5150 in South Central LA, because I called 911 on myself. This is like my I love this story. It's fucked up when you say I love the story. But I was staying with some friends in South Central LA, and that's not a good area to stay in if you guys don't know what South Central LA is. But they let me stay on the couch with them for like a week, and then finally like, get the fuck out. Like, we're trying to help you out, but you don't even want to help yourself. Like, you are fucking death. Like, get out. So this was like a Thursday or Friday night, and it was late, and they kicked me out, and I'm like, fuck. So I'm walking the streets of South Central, and I'm like fucking wasted, and I'm starting fights with people, and I'm yelling at people on their patios, like, hey, can I have a drink? No, fuck you then, like, you know, whatever. And then like, we're fighting, and I got the wrong people chasing me, and I'm just like hopping in a fucking bush, and I fucking called 911. I'm like, I need help. And then a dispatcher called me back, and she's like, hey, the cops are there. And I'm like, I'm right here on Normandy 54th. And she's like, yeah, the cops are there. They can't see you. I'm like, well, I'm in a fucking bush. So I get out of the bush, and the cops fucking put me in a straitjacket. They fucking put my ass in a straitjacket, and they throw me in the back of the car, and they take me in for another 72-hour hold, 5150 my ass again. Got out in a fucking, just one of those beautiful black paper jumpsuits they give you, and they give you bus tokens and shit so you can try to get where you're going. And I went to a friend's house, and they gave me like $20 and went straight to Ralph's and got some fucking bottles. They gave me clothes too, and yeah. But finally, my probation officer was like, hey, I went into my probation officer one day, and I was like, you know, during this time I was just hopeless. I didn't know programs existed. I didn't know what was going on. All I knew was I wanted to die. All I knew I was hopeless. I was fucking, nobody wanted anything to do with me. I had no hope for myself. I didn't see any future in my life. I wanted to commit suicide daily. I didn't know what to do. I was getting mugged by other homeless people as I slept on the fucking beach. They would steal anything they could off you. We're getting in fights, fucking more fights than I know. You know, I'm going to jail, fucking in jail for 2 weeks. Like, LA County's no joke. I've never been to prison, but LA County, like, fuck, I mean, like, are you fucking kidding me? You know, you walk into this big fucking basketball room. It's like a gymnasium, and it has 50 bunk beds. So there's 100 people in there, and, you know, you walk in, and my last name's Hernandez, but I don't even speak Spanish. I'm fucking white as hell. So I walk in, and when you walk in, after you've been through processing for 3 days, which is a fucking hell, because people are just throwing up everywhere, and like it's just a nightmare going through the booking process. Like they finally take you to this big fucking auditorium, and the leaders of each race are at the very front. And as the newbies walk in, the blacks grab the blacks, the Mexicans grab the Mexicans, the woods grab the woods. Well, woods are white people. They call you in fucking jail in LA County, woodpeckers. And so the wood came up to me and grabbed me, and I was like, well, my last name's Hernandez. I don't know if I should go with you or the fucking Browns. And they're like, no, you're getting your ass with us. So I went with them, and fucking first time I've ever been sober for 2 weeks was in LA County. And man, I left, and fuck. So my probation officer finally came up to me, and she was like, hey, what's going on? I was like, I need help. I was at a point where like, I need fucking help. I don't know. And she got me in touch with this place called Homeless Health Care of LA. And I met with some people there, and they're like, hey, I can get you a bed in this transitional rehab facility. And transitional rehab facility is a facility for people like me that were just homeless or people straight out of prison to transition them back into society. Because obviously if you've become homeless, you've lost the ability to function properly, to pay bills, to be a responsible human being. If you've been in prison, you've done the same thing. You don't know how to pay bills, how to treat people just normal when you're obviously probably an addict. So I went in there and walked up the stairs into this facility. And I told myself, I was like, you're going to be in here for 7 months. And it was a living facility only. Like, it's definitely not Pastures Malibu. It's not on the fucking beach. You don't have the cute nurses and doctors giving you good meals. No, none of that shit. It's just like being in jail. Like, it's just like being in fucking jail. Same people. But just like everything, it is what you make it. And it worked if you worked it. And I went in there and I just told myself, I said, Jim, you're a fuck up. All you've done your whole life is fuck up. You're going to do something good for the first time in your life. You're going to shut the fuck up for the first time. You're going to get rid of your ego. You're just going to do everything you're fucking told. If you're going to be here for 7 months, you're a 40-year-old fucking man that's homeless. You have no ego. You have no self-esteem. You shouldn't. If you do, get rid of it. So I told myself, I walked in these doors, and I said, I'm going to do whatever the fuck they say. I'm going to drink the water. I'm going to fucking read the book. I'm going to do all that stuff. I just dug in. Anything they told me to do, I did. I went to groups 4 or 5 times a day. I journaled like a motherfucker. This is my journal from rehab. And I love this thing. If you look at the dates on here, if you can see them, these are the dates that I was in. This one right there. 5/23/2016. I wrote in this thing every day. Look, the binder broke off. On front of it, I put rehab your way of thinking, because this thing's fucked up. And so if you're going to recover, you got to rehab the way you fucking think. You got to change not one thing. You got to change everything. Everything they said, I just bought it, drank it. Fuck, give me that. I'm going to drink the water. I'm going to do whatever the fuck you guys say. I went to the gym. We had a gym in the basement. I was in that gym as much as I possibly could. It was all about mind, body, soul. It was about getting yourself better up here, in here, and just, feeling good about yourself. The gym was always a place that I went to often, but recovery is where I really just took and I fucking ran, because you know what? It gave me my self-worth back. It gave me my self-esteem back, my dignity. It motivated me. It gave me, for the first time in my life in rehab, I was feeling like I deserved to be alive. Because I really didn't. The last years of my life, I just didn't really deserve to be alive. In a building with 53 other guys straight out of prison. Fights, man. We got into fights in that place. Fucking brawls in that building, man. No rehab. There was not a lot of rehab going on. In that building, there was lots of drugs, lots of alcohol, lots of knives, lots of fights. Like at nighttime, we'd have one. There was one staff member there for 53 dudes. And man, you want to talk about fights, you want to talk about fucking intimidation and tactics and shit like that. And I just told myself, I was like, you're going to fucking do this. And I did it. And I went to therapy. I went to counseling. A lot of counseling to get that shit in here. And I've just been pushing down and pushing down since I was a kid. And I don't care that I cry when I tell the story, because you know what, it's a feeling, and recovery is about feeling shit. You know, you feel it. You're okay. It's okay to feel these things, because that's growth. That's how you get past it. And that's how you mend it. And that's how you help other people, because this shit happens, you know? So I had this one counselor, the first my therapist, my mental health therapist, a little black lady, like just big, old, fucking hilarious. You know, I got addicted to fucking therapy and counseling. I went to her, and I was going to, this was a government funded program, and so the resources weren't good. And, but we had lots of options. Anytime I could eventually get to the point where I can get out, I went to the library, I went to other county buildings, and I tried to get other therapy and other counseling, because that is where shit started helping me. And I was like, fuck. So I just got addicted to that. I got addicted to fucking therapy and counseling. I got addicted to telling like people about what happened to me, that I've been bottling shit up and just being vulnerable. You know, vulnerability is terrifying. Being vulnerable is terrifying. Okay, I'm gonna be done crying. Sorry. Not sorry, but whatever. You know, I allowed myself to be vulnerable for the first time in my life. And it's fucking beautiful. You have to love yourself. I started loving myself for the first time in my life. Like, I had this big ego and this big facade I would put out there for everybody for so long, because I thought I had to act a certain way or be a certain way or look a certain way or do this or do that, because I thought that's what other people wanted, what other people wanted to see, and to get a girl, get this job, fucking have this image. I was so wrapped up on other shit. I didn't do anything to take care of myself, and I fucking hated this guy right here. Fucking hated him. But through therapy and counseling, I started to love him. And, you know, people tell you you're a good person, but you don't believe it. And for the first time in my life, I started believing it. And it's because I started working the program. You know, I went into this facility, and one of the best things I did was I renewed my faith in God, you know, my higher power. Whatever your higher power is, as long as you got one, boom. You know, it doesn't have to be God. It can be Allah. It's not a human being. Don't make it be a human being. But there's a power greater than yourself. You know, there's a power greater than yourself out there. And so, you know, I found God. I found the big book. I found this. I got another one around here somewhere. I don't know. But I surrendered. For the first time in my life, I just, you know, recovery is about humility, and I was able to be humble for the first time ever. I was able to be humble and just surrender and say, you know, I can't fucking do this. Like, whatever I'm doing is not working. And so I just surrendered to a power greater than myself. I surrendered to people that told me, you can get this, but it's going to fucking take work. You don't ever have to pick up again. You don't ever have to drink again. Blah, 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 blah. All this shit. I just said, okay. I relapsed, but that's a whole other story. That was later. We don't need to talk about that. But I bought into it. You know, my first stint, I got to about a year, and I really thought I was done drinking. I was that fucking, everybody needs to be sober now. You know, that fucking pink cloud. I don't know. Do you guys talk about pink cloud? Like, sometimes I say it and nobody knows what I'm talking about. It's like the only thing I can fucking compare it to is like ecstasy, man. I'd be laying in my bed in this rehab, and the Venice breeze would be coming through, and I'd be feeling my skin. I'd just be like, oh, this is great. You know, it just felt like ecstasy to me. And I was like, I want this to ever fucking stop. Fuck, this is free? Like, what? Not to glorify, I hate glorifying, but that's the only thing I can compare it to. And then it stops. And after that pink cloud stops, like, reality hits again. And, you know, recovery, there's bad days. You know, we don't, all good days, all days aren't good. But guess what? People that don't suffer from any kind of addiction don't have fucking all good days either. So, you know what? Even if I say, like, my worst day of recovery is better than my best day drunk, like, yeah, it's fucking true. But fucking people not in recovery have bad days. So really, like, life was fucking good. So I went through that program, man, and I got out. When I got out, I went to a sober living, because all my counselors told me, we recommend you go to a sober living because you're just learning skills. You know, I hadn't paid rent in fucking I don't know how long. I was homeless. Obviously, I can't handle money. I'm fucking homeless, you know? Obviously, I don't want to pay bills. I'm fucking homeless. So it's a slow transition. They call it a transitional rehab facility because they teach you the basics. You got to go back to basics and learn shit over again. You know, how to fucking coexist. Like, my anxiety coming out of that place, like, The first 3 months you can't even leave the fucking building. You're cooped up in this fucking building with 53 guys. It used to be a hotel, a tiny hotel, like 23 rooms. Sometimes there's 4 of us in a room, people smoking weed, drinking. Man, I was on fucking edge. You get edgy with these motherfuckers. A lot of them aren't trying to, you know, fucking, ugh. But when they started letting me get out once in a while, I was able to get a job and I was able to go out and I would go to the library and go to a coffee shop. But man, I had anxiety just trying to fucking talk to people in the coffee shop, man. I'm just like, I was intimidated by them, you know? So I hadn't been around them. I was intimidated. I'm like, looking at these people living life like it's fucking normal with their laptops, their fucking cup of coffee and their fucking lattes and their fucking blah, 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 croissant and shit. And I don't know how to talk to them. Like, I'm just like, it gave me anxiety. But I got past it. You start racking up days and the miracle fucking happens. You know, I know a lot of people in the sober tribe, you know, I'm not going to throw out names right there because I think there's probably a lot more people in this meeting than there is in the usual one. But, you know, you guys are in early recovery and you're fucking struggling and you're right where you're supposed to be as part of the process and feel it, but feel sober. You know, I often say, like, you can learn how to ride a bike faster than somebody else. You can learn a foreign language somebody else, but you can't learn 90 days fucking sober faster than somebody else. You can't learn one day. You have to go through it. You have to feel it. You have to experience it. You have to live it. You have to fucking do it. Like, you can't learn 30 days sober. And you know what? Enjoy it. It might fucking suck, but there is a lot out there for you. You know, when I was at 60 days sober, when I was at 30 days sober, I thought, oh man, I got this. And I got to 60 days sober and I laughed at myself at 30 days sober. I was like, you fucking idiot, you didn't know shit. And at 6 months, I laughed at myself at 60 days because I thought I had it. And then 6 months, I'm like, yeah, I got this. At 9 months, I'm like, you're a fucking idiot. You didn't know shit. And so that excites me right now. Whatever fucking day I'm at right now, I'm excited to be where Brad is. I'm excited to be almost at 2,000 days where Say is. I'm excited to be where Alex is. I'm excited to be where fucking Clint is. I'm excited to be Mike Miller, 24 fucking years. Fuck you. If I ever get there, you know, that's only the people on my screen right now. I'm sorry, there's lots of other people, but you know what? I'm humble now because I know that I know a lot more now than I did before, and I'm going to keep learning more. And so I have humility in my life for the first time in my fucking life. If I could just stop cussing so much. It's a whole other story. So I got sober. And I really thought I was going to fucking, that was it. And I relapsed after a year. You know, early sobriety for me, my first year. I was that fucking evangelist that thought everybody should be sober. Like, everybody, like, you should never drink again. I was that fucking Nazi sober guy, and people would often tell me, like, you need to just fucking drink. You need to calm down. Maybe you need to drink. You're fucking nuts. And luckily, after my relapses, I'm sitting here still in front of you to talk to you, to tell you this story, because I did relapse. But luckily, I lived through it, because I know lots of friends that didn't live through it. So I don't like to joke about that because it's not funny. Because your relapse your next one could be your fucking last one, and that could have been my last one. You know, I think one thing when we talk about relapses in these rooms, I think you guys know what I'm talking about. When you say the word relapse to a normie, and they think, oh, you went out and had a couple beers maybe one night or a fucking weekend. No, motherfucker. For me, that's not a relapse. My relapse is, guess what? I lost a fucking job. I almost lost my apartment. After a week, I was 24-hour drinking, locking myself in my bedroom, only leaving to go to CVS to get more alcohol. And then I'm lying on my floor because I can't even get up to my bed because I'm fucking puking everywhere. That's a fucking relapse for us. You know, that's our relapse. So that's how it is. So I don't laugh. I don't like to make light of relapses because, you know, I've lost a lot of friends in relapse. But, you know, people say relapse is part of recovery, and people say no, relapse is part of active addiction. I'm not getting into that. It is what it is. It happens. We get past it. But life's fucking good now, man. I was referred to as a pillar in my community today. Life is good. You know, I have friends. You know, and in active addiction, I laugh at myself because I had some friends that had kids, and one day, this is one of my memories that I always joke about. One day I was like, hey, you guys need a date night. You know, you guys need to go out, and hey, I went out and I thought I was doing a nice deed. I bought them a gift card to dinner, a gift card to go to a movie, and I was like, hey, I'll watch the kids. These motherfuckers wouldn't even let me watch their kids. They're like, no, we'll take the gift cards, but we'll have our parents watch the kids because they didn't trust me with fucking kids. Are you kidding me? Now people trust me with kids. People call me pillars of the community. You know, I started a business and, you know, fucking years ago, people wouldn't even want to feel comfortable donating $20. I mean, now people want to buy into a business I'm starting. It's like life is fucking good. It's good. The smile's genuine. The smile's sober. You know, I don't have to put something in my body to be happy. You know, when you drank at the beginning, drinking's fun. Like you drank and you were insecure, whatever, you're young and you drink and then you warm up and it's fun. And then it just doesn't get fun anymore. It's the point where it's not fun. It's the point where it's necessary. It's the point where it's disastrous. Life is fun for me. Sober. Like I can't imagine myself drinking. I can have a conversation and talk to you, not be insecure, not fumble my words or be intimidated by you. Sober. You know? Life is good. I have a beautiful apartment. I live in downtown LA. I had a lot of people help me that had absolutely nothing to gain from helping me. And I will never forget that. Ever. You know, we lose a lot of our old friends when we get sober. But that's fucking fine. Get the fuck out of here. Go. Bye. Peace. You know? That was rude of me. But, you know, don't change one thing. Change everything. It's so fucking true. You know, the music you listen to, simple things. You know, your subconscious mind is so fucking powerful. Your subconscious mind is so powerful. It's so powerful when it fucked you up, and it's so powerful when you build it up the right way. You know, my song to get sober to was Hall of Fame by The Script. Loved it. Man in the Mirror, Michael Jackson. But The Script, Hall of Fame, so positive. They're recovery bands. And, you know, we have lots of people that what was your song? Whatever song that I'm saying right now, you're thinking of something. Like, yeah, but guess what? Was it positive? Did it say bitches, hoes, sluts, the N-word, all this shit? No. You don't change one thing, you change everything. And the people you're around, people, places, and things. You know, your subconscious mind is so, so strong, and it affects you in ways you never know. I have to live in my conscious mind now because my subconscious mind has me so fucked up. If I just react, I'm going to be like, just take me. Just cuff me. Like, I've been there before. Like, whatever, I'll be out. Don't change one thing, change everything. You know, it's a cliche. The cliches, like, I would just fucking hate them, but they're so true. My life is good. And it's only because of these rooms, because of this book. It's because people like you, they can listen to me right now, and I guarantee you not one of you guys are going to judge me or go laugh at me and tell anybody else, like Jim told this story, and can you believe the shit he fucking did? Like, it's not going to happen. It's not going to happen in here, you know? So, you know, this is a life-changing thing. And, you know, I'm grateful. I'm grateful that I can talk about things that happened to me as a child, and I can. And I'm fine with it, you know? When you get to the point where you love yourself I've never genuinely loved people until I love myself. And now I fucking genuinely care about people. Like, I really do. I ask you how you doing, and I want to know. Before, I didn't give a fuck. I didn't care. All I cared about was this person. But, you know, it's like when you truly love yourself, you can't love anybody else until you truly love yourself. And, you know, you got to put in the work to do that. It's not easy, but it's so necessary, so good. And surrender. So, how's my life now? I'm in a room talking to you guys. I'm seeing some beautiful faces smiling. And I'm sure I'm going to get 100 text messages after this. And I guarantee you, the text messages I would get after a night of drinking and drugging would be a lot different from the text messages I'm going to get after this right here. It might be like, hey, should we come pick you up from county? Probably before. But you know, this place right here is just, it's immeasurable. Like, you know, people ask me, like, what do you do now? Like, what do you do in recovery? I think for me, you know, motivation is cute. Motivation's fun. I think my life now is about grounded action. It's about, if you say you're going to do something, do something. You know, people say, you know, in recovery, you don't say no to things. You step out of your comfort zone. You know, I step out of my comfort zone all the time. Fuck comfort zones now. Like, if somebody asked me to do something, my first instant reaction is like, oh no, like I'm lazy, or no, fuck it, I'm doing it. You know, you don't say no to shit. You just don't do it. Not in recovery, you don't. And guess what? People start seeing that and they're like, oh shit, something's different about this guy. Yeah, lots different about me now. You know? And grounded action. You know, you say you're gonna do something, fucking do it. Keep your word. You help others. You help others. You help others. We've all had help. We've all had our hands out like this, and it's really rewarding when you can have your hand out like this and help and give other people stuff. And it's genuine. So, grounded action, keeping your word, and the big book. I'm drained right now. I think I'm done. I think I'm done. Yeah, definitely. I know. Whatever. I'm tired.
Hey, I love it. What a fabulous share. And you had 4 minutes to the top of the hour. Wow, Jim. Let me first off say, I had to write it down because you know I can't remember stuff. I give you my highest appreciation for your share. Was so vulnerable, so authentic. For the laughs, I'm probably gonna need some Botox from laughing so hard, and the tears. I could just feel your pain, but I also feel your elation and what you have gotten through your road of recovery, and it's incredible. I admire your strength and your commitment, and a huge heartfelt thanks to you for being not only you, being my brother, being part of our sober tribe, our sober family, and for your service, for tonight, for speaking, and for the community, for all you do and giving back. That is just, everything you do is remarkable and amazing. And I am so grateful that our paths crossed. And I will throw in real quick before I'm going to close out with the Lord's Prayer and then open it back up so everyone can talk to Jim. But something that Jim had spoken about, that dual diagnosis, if you go into treatment, there are so many things, just like Jim was saying, that came back from childhood that, that you suppress. And that when I went to treatment, I was so surprised asking all of these questions, trying to get into my background, why they asked, because you don't know what you don't know. And all of that was new to me. And the people that I was in there with that had all these different, all this trauma from their past, they had different people that they would talk to. And until you work that stuff out, you can't fully reap the benefits of being in recovery, because until those stones are turned over, you're still holding that back. And so if anybody is struggling, I highly urge you, if you go to treatment, to seek out a dual diagnosis treatment center. And just like Jim was saying, where he went sucked, where I went, it wasn't like being in jail, but, and it was not Passages of Malibu either. So it was kind of like somewhere in between. It wasn't bougie by any means, but it doesn't matter. Jim's proof by what he said. It doesn't matter where you go. If you want it bad enough, it's going to work. Because, I haven't relapsed, God willing, just for today. More than about 70% that I was in treatment with did. So I think what you put your heart and mind and body and soul and your everything into, you can do it. So I'm so grateful that everybody tuned in tonight. And if you ever want to see this again, or if you know somebody that missed it, I will have it up on my YouTube channel probably tomorrow. Just go to YouTube and type in No Mo Wino Dap, and you'll see Jim's as well as our last few speakers that wanted them to be recorded. So with that, I'm going to close this out real quick and then throw it over to Brad and open up the meeting.